Hello there, and welcome to this session, Solving Tactics on ChessTempo.com. I actually went ahead and got started. No loading screen this time. We are doing 1700 to 1800 mix today. Again, moving up the ladder, just to get myself back in form. Let's see. Queen h6 check, king g8, rook check, king f7, queen h7 check, king e7 is nothing. Let's see, queen h5 check, king g8, rook g6 check, king f7 forced, and then rook c6 winning the queen. Queen h5, king g7, or king g8. Rook check, king f7. And then what about rook h6 check instead of rook c6 check? Rook h6 check, king back to g7, and then queen g6 mate. Yeah, I thought so. I didn't want to play rook c6. It seemed like you were selling yourself a little bit short. Selling yourself a little bit short to play rook c6. Excuse me. Wrong moves made in this position. The game is Gerald Hertneck and Matthias Walls. That could be Matthias. It could be Matthias. It could be Matthias. Queen h6 check, most common mistake. Yeah, so queen h6 check is definitely something that I considered. Queen h6, king g7, rook check, king f7, king e7, king e8, and there's really nothing going on here. There's no way to win material. So it's important to set up the revealed check to try to control f7. And that's really the key to the position. Huh. So I need to play knight, pawn, knight d2, threatening a2 mate. Knight d2, king a2. Knight d2, king a2 forced. Knight b2, king a1 forced. Knight c3, a2. And there's no way to deliver mates. Knight d2, king a2, king c1. King a2. How to do it? King knight d2. I'd also play knight c5. Is knight c5 the way to go? Knight c5 also threatens knight b3 mate. So knight c5, king a2. King c2. King a1. Knight c5. How do you... So I need to control a2 for one move and then deliver... Then I need to deliver... I need to control a2 for one move, then I need to deliver b3 mate. So my knight needs to be on c1. So I need to play knight d2, king a2, knight d2, king a2, and then if knight b3, stalemate. So I need to play knight c2, king a2, knight d3, king a1, knight c1, a2, knight b3, checkmate. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this problem, I went around it. I went about doing it in a way that I shouldn't have, to be honest. I knew how to solve the problem, and so I thought I could just rely upon pattern recognition. But I wasn't seeing the moves very easily, so I had to go back and calculate it correctly, just by looking at the C1 square. Rook takes, knight c5, that's nothing. Uh, some way to harass this knight here. Knight, bishop, bishop, rook takes. Rook takes d1, not a real threat. Some way to mess with the back rank. Rook takes d7. If rook takes d7, is rook c1 anything? No. Bishop e7. Bishop e7, rook takes e7, rook d8, checkmate after rook takes e8. Bishop e7, bishop e7, rook takes d1, bishop takes d1. Rook takes d1, rook takes. I was thinking you would play rook takes d1. But I guess that doesn't work because of the back rank. Yeah, rook takes d1 and you would lose even more material. Because of this, and you can't save You can't save the knight because of rook d8. Good one. Rook takes g6, pawn takes g6. Nah. h4 check. h4 check. I'm sorry, rather g4 check. What about bishop e7? Creating the threat of g4 mate. Bishop e7, g4 mate. How can you stop it? Bishop e7, and I don't think it can be stopped. Bishop e7, if g4, there is no g4 because of the pin. The king has nowhere to go. There are no checks. Yeah, bishop e7, g4 mate is unstoppable. Sam Chow with the white pieces. Douglas G. Hamilton. Douglas G. Hamilton. What a name. With the white pieces. Most common mistake, g4 check, fucking up the move order. g4 check, h4, bishop e7. Problem being king takes h4. Which is, it's the correct idea, right? But it just messes up the move order, unfortunately. Alternate moves, rook d4. Just using the pair of bishops. Bishop e4. That seems a very odd alternate, but you know, whatever. Queen h1, king f2. King f2. Knight d doesn't work. Knight f3 check, pawn takes f3. And fortunately, this square is covered. I think I might have solved this problem before. But I'm not seeing the way forward. Queen h1, king f forced. There are no overwhelming threats in this position, so I don't feel like I should be going for a perpetual. But at the same time, I don't see any immediate tactical opportunities. Queen h1, king f2, knight takes g2, knight takes g2. Knight takes e2, king takes e2. Queen h1, king f2, knight takes e2. Is there some way to combine that? Queen h1, king f2, knight h3 check, pawn takes g3. I don't see that going anywhere. Queen h1, king f2, Knight d3 check, bishop takes d3, takes d3, queen takes d3. There's nothing there. If knight h3 now, threatening mate. Knight h3 threatening mate. Pawn takes h3. Queen check. Knight h3. G takes. Queen check. King e1. King e1. Queen check. King d2 is nothing. So not knight h3, I guess. Knight g4. Knight g4, knight takes g4. Wait, but if knight g4, knight takes g4, there's queen h1, king f2, queen takes g2 check, king e1, queen e2 mate. Okay, so knight g4 threatening f2 mate. Queen c8 check. King g7. Queen takes g4. So knight g4, queen c8 check, king g7. Queen takes g4. I would have no follow-up there, huh? It's definitely an idea, but it's not something I can seem to get to work. Three pawns, 5 pawns, two minors, queen and queen. His king is more exposed than mine, I feel, slightly. So I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like I should just give up. Queen h1, king f2, queen h5 check. But at the same time, I'm not seeing much productive to do. Knight h3, queen c. Yeah, if knight h3, queen c8, queen takes h3. That's the problem with all of these moves. Maybe the issue here is just to make certain I'm not losing e5. Yeah? Like something like knight takes e2, queen e4, just so as not to lose e5. But that seems a little bit unnecessary. Queen g5. Knight d3, bishop takes d3, nothing, nothing. Knight takes e2. Queen h1, king f2, knight takes e2, king takes e2, king takes e2, and then what? No, I just don't see it. I just don't see good continuation. So there are many ways to protect e5. There's queen e7. Queen e7. There's f6. There's queen g5. There's knight takes e2 and then queen h2. Any way that I could maybe do it, like leave the knight hanging, but create some sort of counter threat, some sort of punishment. Ooh, wait. Can I queen h1, king f2, knight g4 check? If knight takes, queen g2 check. And if pawn takes, if pawn takes, I can give queen h4 check again. I can give queen h4 check again. If g3, there's queen h2 check. If queen h1, king f2, knight check, pawn takes forced, queen check, king f1. And now what has changed? Nothing really. But I have discovered something new, I guess. Queen h1, king f2, knight check, pawn takes. Pawn takes. And then the only check left is queen h4. Queen h4, king g1, king e1. I'm sorry, king g1, king f1. King g1, there would be knight takes e2, so king f1 would be the move. So pawn here, queen here, knight here, king on f1. But no, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on here. I'm sorry. Queen h1, king f2, knight g4 seems to be like a move, but I just don't know. Oh, oh my God. Okay, all right. So queen h1, king g1, king takes g1, knight takes e2. Okay, that's what it is. Okay. Wow, that took me a long time. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad I solved that because I think that last time I solved that problem, I got it wrong. And it's a pretty difficult one to see. Yeah, not that easy is the first comment. Um, yeah, it takes people 10 minutes. It took me 13 minutes to solve this. It took somebody else 35. Um, just gonna have a little browse of the comments. Yeah, yeah, very difficult. It's a very difficult problem. Rook g5, threatening rook h5 mate. Rook g5, pawn takes g5, h takes g mate. That should do it. Yeah, that one was not too difficult. 20 mistakes made in this position. H5, yeah. This sort of barbarian H5, H6, H7. You're down a queen. Yeah? You're down a full queen. So you need to make something happen right now. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Queen takes H6. Threatening rook G8. Bishop takes, knight takes. Is there a way I can get this in? Is there any way to work with f takes e in this position? Yeah, I think there is. I think there's in this position there's f takes e, queen takes, bishop takes check, and if rook takes, there's queen takes f. So bishop takes check, rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes f, pawn takes d. That doesn't work. So it has to be pawn takes e first. So f takes e, f takes e, queen takes e. But f takes e, there's bishop takes f7 check. But then rook takes. Yeah, then rook takes, and you can't take back on e because of the threat on f3. But if you don't take back on e, then I'm still going to take on f3. So you have to save your queen. So that's fine. So pawn takes, bishop takes check, rook takes, and I'm on the queen and I'm on the knight. If rook g5, I'll just take on f3. Or I'll take on d3, rook takes d5, and then take on f3, keeping the pawn. Okay, so that works. Pawn takes, bishop takes check. That's fine. Pawn takes, queen takes, bishop check, and then my biggest issue is knight takes g5. I'm not certain what's going on after pawn takes, queen takes, and knight g5. Pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, Knight g5. Queen takes h6. That's only one attacker. If bishop takes first, knight takes. Then f takes e. Bishop takes, knight takes. Bishop takes, rook takes. And then if f takes e, then queen takes e. But then queen f3. But he would play f takes e, rook takes h5. F takes e certainly feels like the correct move. F takes e, queen takes e. I think I decided that queen takes e was basically the only way to go. F takes a, queen takes e. Then could I play like bishop d8, threatening f3? F takes e, queen takes e, bishop d8. Where's the knight gonna go? Knight goes to d2. But then I would be on the okay. So f takes e, queen takes e, bishop d8, threatening the rook, threatening the bishop. If the knight moves away, then bishop takes g5. But if the knight doesn't move away, I'll take the knight and play bishop g5 check. F takes e, queen takes e, bishop d. Nope. Apparently not. Queen takes f3, queen. Oh, man. Oh, man. Queen takes f3 because bishop g5 is check. Yeah, I sort of saw it too. I gave it a passing idea. Nobody played my error, which was bishop d8. I'm curious what the correct. So bishop d8 was my idea. And the point is, oh, well, this is stupid because it's just a trade. Yeah, this is really dumb. And then the bishop just goes away. Yeah, I'm an idiot. What a retard. G5 check, rook takes, or queen takes. Rook h3 doesn't seem to do much. How can I get my pieces around to make them work. What about something like g6? g6, rook f7. g6, rook f7, pawn takes, check, queen takes, rook h3, king takes h3, queen takes g5, e7. e7, e7, queen e3 check, king h4, and then king h7. Or no, that's not possible, is it? It's not possible. So even in that resulting position with rook against queen, the e-pawn is too strong. That's not to say g6 is a bad move. g6. Well, you know, if e7, I could just take on f7. That's why. Okay. g6, rook f7. It is one idea. It's just one idea. g6, rook f7. Because there's also rook e5. g6, rook e5, rook f7. Pawn check, queen takes, forced, rook takes. Rook takes, or I'm sorry, rook h3, king 8 takes h3, queen takes g5, and there's no e7 because of king takes f7. There is queen takes c7 though, rook takes c7. These two pawns will be mighty dangerous. But it's definitely one idea. So g6, rook e5 is the other issue. Rook e5. Rook e5, rook d6, rook d6, queen d6. How about queen e2? What about g6? If I could somehow give queen h7 check, g6, rook e5, and then g5 check, queen takes h5, queen h7 check. Is that doing anything for me? Queen h7 check, queen h5. Not really. That's not really helping me much. This idea of g6 though really does captivate me. It's got a lot going for it. The immediate h takes g, queen takes g. H takes g, queen takes g, rook takes a2, rook f7, queen takes g5. Well, no, I would have to take. Pawn takes, if queen takes, king takes, rook takes a2, e7, rook e2. Rook f8 check. Game over. Huh. G6. Rook e5. Pawn takes, queen takes, rook, queen h7 check, queen g5. I don't quite see it. What about g6, rook e5, queen g7? That still doesn't seem to be much of anything. I'd like to try to get queen h2 mate in somehow, maybe. So what about g6, rook e5, queen d6? Then if queen e2 is there, rook takes a2, queen takes a2, queen takes e5. I don't quite believe it. I'm trying to figure out how to get some sort of battery of queen and rook against h3, or somehow target h1 or something. Trying to get in against this king, but I just don't see it. I can see there are like decent attacking chances, but yeah, I don't see anything other than g6. Okay, this makes it easier. This draws me back to the. Ah, but you don't have queen h7 in that line, do you? Oh yeah. Oh wait, but that wasn't the point. So just takes check rook h3, and then queen takes g5. I was having way more trouble figuring out what to do after rook e5. After rook e5, h check, rook takes, queen check. Oh, and the rook is on g6. The pawn is on g6. The pawn is on g6 covering h5. Ah, oh, God, I'm such an idiot. The pawn is on g6 covering h5. All right, I think that's it for me today. I'm clearly my brain's clearly a little bit fatigued. Ah, the pawn covers. The pawn covers g5 or h5. I'm sorry, h5. That's a really good problem though. Even though it did take me quite a while to solve. Wrong moves made in this position are queen d6. Queen d6. Go back. Queen d6. I think one of the main problems with queen d6 is simply h takes. G takes h6. You can see that you don't have a lot of threats here. There's not much remaining in this position. So queen d6 didn't really cross my mind because I didn't see how you could get at h2. Like h takes, and then if you want to try and play h2, this doesn't really work anymore because now the queen covers on h3. But these ideas were crossing through my mind. H takes g5 check is premature. I talked about it, how you want to be able to get your queen to h7. I did mention in that h takes g5 is a little bit premature because you don't have enough going against the king. and I calculated out this line, yeah. And where in this position after queen takes, I'm sorry, uh, king takes, and then rook takes a2, uh, e7 is very strong because after rook e2, there's simply rook f8. Threatening checkmate, checkmate. So you have to take it. All right, that'll be it for this session. Those were, I think, I only did like 3 or 4 problems, but they all took me quite a while. This feels like it's where I should be for my the last stage of my recuperation before I start doing real training again. So we'll do a good bit of 1700 to 1800 before continuing on. All right, thank you so much for being here with me today. Uh, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned as much from this session as I did. And until the next time, good luck with your chess journey. Take care.